Well, hi, everybody. A very pleasant day to you. This is Steve Dolan here on Dolan's Dugout along with Ramon Scott. Wish you a happy Friday morning. And gosh, if you haven't been paying attention, it's been all over the news this morning. It's on ESPN.com, The Athletic, MLB Network, everywhere. Lead story, Padres, Dodgers, three-game series this weekend in San Diego at Petco Park starting tonight at 7:10. Saturday, 5:40 p.m., Sunday, 1:10 p.m. Well, Ramon Scott, the series that everybody's been waiting for months is here. What do you think?
Was there really a postseason last year, Steve? I forget. I put it behind us. Those are 3 games we could just forget and move on. And look, there's 19 games this year, okay? And maybe we're starting this one a little bit behind the 8 ball. But quite honestly, we've discussed it, Steve, throughout the first shows of the season, and it's coming to fruition now. We said that maybe the Padres will have to win the season series in order to claim a National League West title. Steve, these Dodgers are absolutely relentless. I think they showed it last night, probably more than any other game this season, as great a start as they're on. But for this one game, we're going to have to summon up some courage in order to win this first game of the series. We'll talk all about this series, but no problem. Hey, just because they're 11-2, they're not the '84 Tigers, okay? They're not even on pace for the best start in Major League history, all right?
Well, Ramon, one thing you got to remember, on opening day, the Dodgers lost to the Colorado Rockies, and the Padres beat the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're ahead of the Dodgers. We're the Dodgers. Hey, everybody.
That was me.
Rodgers would say, relax. Right now, the Dodgers are 2.5 games in front of the Padres. Padres sweep this series. They're in first place. They get swept. They're 5.5 out. I think it's probably going to be somewhere in between there. But, Ramon, one thing to remember about the Dodgers since that loss at opening day, what have they done? They've won 6 straight games and 11 out of 12. So, I mean, this team is really, really, really impressive. Like you said last night, the 7-5 win over Colorado. And to show you how good these Dodgers are, David Price is a former Cy Young Award winner. He got his first regular season save last night. That's how good the Dodgers are. They've got David Price, who'd be starting for probably about 28 of the other 29 teams. Maybe the one he wouldn't start for would be San Diego, but he's in the bullpen. This Dodgers team, look out. I mean, it's been a decade since the Padres have won a season series from the Dodgers. So let's see what happens. I think, again, some things to remember. Last year in the playoffs, we all remember how Cody Bellinger robbed Fernando Tatis Jr. of a home run that could have turned the series around maybe in the Padres' favor. And, of course, speaking of Tatis, it sounds like he'll be back tonight. We'll see how he handles it. We'll see if he doesn't slide head first, if he doesn't dive for balls, hurt his shoulder again. We'll see what happens when it comes to that. And another thing, Ramon, is you have the animosity there. Manny Machado, remember when he was yelling at the Dodgers? And remember Brusdar Graterol. Remember the Dodgers pitcher? He's a rookie yelling back at the Padres. Well, where's Graterol going to be tonight? He's going to be in San Diego. He's not even on the Dodgers roster right now. He's on what's called your taxi squad. Everybody has 5 players that you take on the road with you in case you have COVID issues. You have those 5 guys ready to step in. But no Graterol tonight. Machado will be there tonight. Dodgers, Padres, lead story on a lot of networks. Certainly lead story here on EastCountySports.com.
Steve, you mentioned the great pitching for the Dodgers. Look at this series, okay? There are probably 5 potential Cy Young pitchers going to start these games, and one rookie. So tonight they're going to have to play as a team, if you will. I mean, we kind of knew that this situation could unfold like this. It's unfortunate because the Dodgers taken this one pretty seriously. They've kind of readjusted their rotation a little bit, while the Padres are kind of just letting things play out. But the Dodgers wanted to make sure that they had their top guys going for this series. And I'm going to stand by my statement, Steve, now, especially not even 10% into the season. And I will not get all overwhelmed by this series. But the Padres are going to have to win the season series from the Dodgers in order to win the division this year, barring some bizarre injury situations that go down. I mean, this stacked roster that they have, it's not out of the question at all. It's funny how we used to beat the Dodgers when we were kind of down on our luck, and yet when we're better, it's a little bit tougher, it seems. But at least the Dodgers now are kind of treating this as their top rivalry, at least for now.
Well, yeah. You remember what Justin Turner, who's back with the Dodgers, said when he said that playing the Padres will be like 19 World Series games. So game one of the 19-game World Series starts tonight. Let's take a look. Let's look at that pitching rotation for this weekend. The Padres tonight they do have Ryan Weathers making his first major league start against Walker Buehler. Tomorrow night, we've got Yu Darvish against Clayton Kershaw. And on Sunday afternoon, you got Blake Snell against Trevor Bauer, who was a Cy Young Award winner last year. Well, let's talk a little bit about Weathers. Last year in the playoffs, he did something that you just don't do. He had never played in a regular season game, and yet he pitched in a playoff game. He shut the Dodgers out for an inning and a third, which was great. One thing you got to remember, though, about that inning and a third, he faced 3 right-handers. He walked 2 of the 3, including Justin Turner on 4 pitches. So certainly he's going to have to do better against right-handers tonight in his start. But on the other hand, what can you expect of Weathers? Maybe 4 innings. If he goes 5, that would be super. I just don't see it. But we'll see. I mean, this is a big, big game. I mean, the fact that Weathers is starting, I mean, it would have been Adrian Morejon. Of course, he hurt his forearm in his last start. And the Padres, they didn't adjust their rotation like the Dodgers did, but they set their rotation from opening day up. Jace Tingler, the manager, did the math, and he knew he would have his 5, 1, and 2 starters against the Dodgers. And at the time, his number 5 starter was Adrian Morejon, a left-hander, just like Ryan Weathers. And as you know, Ramon, historically, the Dodgers have trouble against left-handers. So we'll see how that goes tonight. We'll see how that goes this weekend, because they're going to be seeing a left-hander tonight in Weathers and a left-hander Sunday afternoon, and Blake Snell coming off a terrible performance in Pittsburgh when he only got 2 outs on 38 pitches. So see how it goes from here.
Yeah, there was nothing really to chalk that one up to other than an off performance for Snell. There's no panic, no worries there. In that situation, I think that, you were hoping for 3 of 4. I exercised some caution. The Pirates obviously playing a little bit above their expectations so far in a 4-game series, taking a split out of there. Good road trip for the Padres. Maybe some look ahead of when they were in Pittsburgh towards this series. I'm worried that we'll be all hyped up tonight, but the Padres have shown that in these type of series, this club, the recent Padre club, does get up for these games. That 3-game series in the playoffs notwithstanding, I mean, it was still edge of your seat thrills. Even though we got blown out that last game, everyone was hyped for those games. So, like you said, Steve, the first of 19, I think the return of Tatis will bring some enthusiasm. Let's exercise caution with Fernando. I want to see it first. I want to see him get through some series without any discomfort and with production. If the production's not there, there's going to be some question marks moving forward. Look, you can make an obvious comparison right here in this series with Cody Bellinger and Fernando Tatis Jr. Bellinger looks like he's primed and ready for a great season. He had the problem with his shoulder taken care of. And Fernando, well, we're just trying to nurse this thing through. Steve, back a couple years ago, we said 2022 was the goal, I think, is what we kind of said. So maybe we're a year early, but we deserve to be here and deserving of our place right now, matching up with the Dodgers. I think as far as the rest of the series is concerned, hey, I'll take our 2 guys against their 2 guys, especially with us at home. Win this one tonight, and we'll be starting off on the right foot.
Yeah, and Ramon, let's go back just for a little minute here, because we know a week ago when the Padres started a 7-game road trip to Texas and Pittsburgh, I remember saying I'd take 5 and 2 on the trip, 2 out of 3 and Texas, 3 out of 4 in Pittsburgh. After the sweep in Texas, I didn't like the split with Pittsburgh because that Pittsburgh team probably going to lose 100 games. But on the other hand, let's look at the positive side of that. The Padres 5-2 road trip, that's the best trip they've had since 2006. So it's been a long time since they've done that. Because one thing about being a contender, not only do you have to hopefully beat the Dodgers, but you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, like the Rangers and the Pirates. I mean, the disappointment in Pittsburgh was those middle 2 games when the Padres lost, Tuesday and Wednesday. They were 2 for 20 with runners in scoring position. But then yesterday they came out hot. 4 runs in the first, 2 runs in the second, which was appropriate on Jackie Robinson Day to see a 4-2, a 42 on the scoreboard for San Diego in the first 2 innings. But the biggest thing the Padres did yesterday in the first 3 innings, they were 4 for 6 with runners in scoring position. That's been their bugaboo this year. They need to start hitting with runners in scoring position. I mean, they have 2 guys on fire. First of all, you got Eric Hosmer. Hosmer's been on base in all 13 games he's played this year. He's batting .340. Jake Cronenworth on this road trip, he batted .392. So Hosmer and Cronenworth have kind of been carrying this team. And, of course, Manny Machado hitting his 3rd home run of the year yesterday, drilling one out to left field in Pittsburgh. I mean, the Pittsburgh series is over. We don't want to look back. The only thing is, at the end of the year, hopefully splitting with a terrible team in Pittsburgh won't hurt you in the standings. But now it's on to the Dodgers. I mean, again, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. I mean, they're the team that everybody talks about, and rightfully so. They won the World Series. They won this division 8 years in a row. And right now, sorry, San Diego, but if you ask me to pick who's going to win this division, I say the Dodgers win the division. The Padres get in on a wild card, and hopefully they win that one-game wild card so they can advance to the Final Four in the National League.
Yeah. Anything can happen. Like I said, this is the big series. Not this particular one. I'm talking about the 19 games this season. So we just want to see everyone get healthy. And I think that's been a big key. Steve, you kept ingraining it into my head when I kept worrying about the leadoff position. But, man, Trent Grisham, he's our man. I mean, you mentioned the hot players, but Grisham's brought a spark. And he has that leadoff man pop that you kind of like too. No reason to tinker when guys can hit home runs from the leadoff spot, because people say, well, maybe they shouldn't be a leadoff hitter. You get different pitches to hit up there. Hitting the ball out of the ballpark for a 1-0 lead is a part of a strategy. You're just not always playing to get on base. And Grisham brings such stability to the position as well. And we struggled defensively in the outfield. So that's been a big, big addition. Now getting Fernando back, get Nola back, hopefully. It's working out that way. It's just that right now we are a little bit behind, not only in the standings, but I think with the roster construction, the health, and all the intangibles that are making us, a pretty considerable underdog, Steve. The Dodgers, of course, tonight, a pretty good-sized favorite going up against a rookie pitcher, minus $1.50, so the Dodgers will be favored. But the other series will be a lot closer. And Blake Snell, he's looking to get another shot at the Dodgers after what happened in the World Series last year when he didn't get that extra time through the lineup. Probably rolled the dice with Blake Snell in a postseason game. But that's water under the bridge, and thankfully he's ours now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with Snell, Ramon, on Sunday, because a couple motivating factors are, like you say, number one, the fact that they pulled him in the 6th inning with a 2-hit shutout in Game 6 of the World Series, where the Dodgers ultimately won against the Rays bullpen. And that'll certainly be a motivating factor for him. And the fact that in Pittsburgh he got 2 outs on 38 pitches. The pitcher was coming to bat when they took him out, and they brought in Craig Stammen just for a third of an inning, just to get out of the inning. I understand it. I mean, a lot of criticism for Jace Tingler, the manager. Hey, the pitcher was coming up, get out, go from there. But, Ramon, the thing this season, they're going from 60 games to 162. So Tingler was thinking down the line on that one. I mean, if you're just thinking that one game. But, you got to save these guys. You don't want Snell throwing, 100 pitches in 3 innings, because that's been one of his bugaboos, is high pitch counts. And now when he goes this Sunday, it'll be interesting, too. I'm sure the people in Tampa Bay will be watching because, like you say, he had the 2-hitter in the 6th inning and a shutout when he got taken out of that game against the Dodgers. Blake Snell only averages, last couple of years, under 5 innings a start. He hasn't gone beyond 5 innings yet this year. So that's going to be interesting. I want to see Blake Snell keep his pitch count down. I want to see him throw 6 innings on 90 pitches and go from there.
And we won't see him in the series, but got to mention the start for Chris Paddack. It's starting to develop, Steve, that Paddack is a pitcher that pitches well when comfortable, when getting run support. It looks to me so far like when the pressure is on the Sheriff, that's when he pressures himself and doesn't get the desired results. So he needs to come out and pitch more relaxed. Don't worry about the run support. Don't worry about, giving up a couple of runs. Prevent the big innings. And I think that's sometimes what's happened with Paddack. He's trying to fine-tune everything, trying to aim, if you will. And sometimes that boils over and leads to bigger innings than necessary. Just get through the lineup. The other teams are going to score despite what's going on in baseball right now with all these strikeouts. But good sign for Paddack with his performance in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely, Ramon. And one thing, yesterday's game, Paddack gave up 3 runs, but remember, with 2 outs in the 5th, Tucupita Marcano, in his first defensive start in the major leagues, he dropped a line drive in right field that cost 2 runs. I mean, he catches that ball, and Paddack's given up 1 run in 5 innings. So, and Marcano, he earned a spot on this roster. Nobody thought going into spring training he'd be on the team. Most likely he goes to the alternate training site when either Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back tonight. I think Marcano will probably be the one to go out. And if not, then certainly when Austin Nola comes back, I would imagine that's going to be Luis Campusano. But that's speculation. But my guess is Marcano probably won't be here next week. But, good for him that he made the roster and, busted his rear end the last 2 weeks. As far as Paddack, okay, let's do the math. If he pitched Thursday in Pittsburgh, he pitches every 5 days. He pitches Tuesday against Milwaukee here in San Diego. He pitches a week from Sunday in LA against the Dodgers. What's different about that game? That's the ESPN game of the week. That's the Sunday night baseball game. So you talk about rotations and the way they're set up. The Padres, I think it's more than coincidental that, again, you've got Darvish and Snell in this series. And when you go to LA, the way it's set up, it'll go Darvish and Snell. Then the third one will be, of course, our own no-hitter, Grossmont High, East County's own Joe Musgrove, and Sunday will be Chris Paddack. So the Padres have it lined up that, their top 2 go 2 of these 3 games in San Diego this weekend, and their top 4 go against Dodgers next weekend in LA. Not just the 3 games here, but 4 games in LA. So the Padres and Dodgers are playing 7 of their 19 games here in April. And, of course, as you know, the World Series is maximum 7 games. So these, as Justin Turner would say, these 19 World Series games, 7 of them are going to come here in the next 10 days.
Yeah, I'm tired of these guys already, to be honest with you. They just look awesome. I mean, they're almost an automatic win. So that's the frustrating part of this whole situation is putting together the great roster like we have. I'll actually argue a point, Steve, that in our lapses in the games that we have lost this season, and actually we're percentage points behind the Giants in 3rd place, really, but 2.5 games back, both teams 2.5 games back. But the lapses that the Padres have been mistakes, or not even necessarily mistakes, but just the plays that can't be made or the pitches that can't be made by the players who, quite frankly, maybe aren't the Padres' major league players for this season. Now, granted, there have been, players, the top players have made errors or outs as well. But if you go back, that's been kind of where the Padres have had the stopgap measures, even when adjusting defensively and the defensive mistakes that we've had. So not putting our best lineup out on the field maybe has cost us a game or 2 thus far. That's what we're working on to get these players healthy as well. The Padres have had a little bit of bad luck to start the season. It doesn't necessarily look like it on the surface because we're off to a good start and have had some great wins. But certainly still shuffling the pieces. We weren't ready to go when the season started. That was obvious.
Yeah, absolutely, Ramon. And, one of the things, Luis Campusano is, he's done well behind the plate, but he had a terrible game in Blake Snell's start when Snell couldn't get out of the first inning. Campusano hasn't even played a half season in the minor league. So certainly when Austin Nola comes back, hopefully next week, that will be a big for the Padres. You can talk about the injuries. And of course, tonight, you would expect Fernando Tatis Jr. to be back. I'm going to be curious to see how Tatis does because, as you know, he was off to a rocky start, 5 errors in 4 games, and he only had 3 hits, although his last hit was a 465-foot home run. But, we'll see how it is with that shoulder. I mean, if you want to ask my opinion, will he make it through the season? I'm not going to give you my opinion because it's probably not what most people want to hear, but hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully he can make it through the season. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. I would imagine, like you say, Trent Grisham's done great in the leadoff spot. He's already hit 3 home runs, and he started the season on the injured list. I would imagine they'll probably go Tatis. He'll probably bat second, Machado third, Hosmer fourth. And also Will Myers has had knee problems. He's been out the last couple of games. He was pulled early in Tuesday's game. So it'll be interesting to see if Will Myers starts tonight in right field. I mean, that's another one of the Padres who's been out. Obviously, they didn't put him on the 10-day injured list. I don't think it's that severe, his knee injury, but it's been bad enough to keep him out the last 2 days. He just pinch hit once and hit into a double play. So we'll see what's up with Tatis tonight. We'll see what's up with Will Myers tonight. That's going to be very interesting.
I think it was awesome. You mentioned, I think it was Will Myers, kind of setting some Padre milestones, and it's well-deserved because through some of the frustration that the fans had with Will early, very unfair. I mean, forcing him to make a position change that just didn't make sense at the start of his Padres career, and that throws you off a little bit. But I think we've all seen it come to a head now with Will. I mean, he's playing great when he's injured. When he's in there, I mean, obviously he's just down for a couple of games. He strained himself a little bit, looked like he was going for a ball and strained himself, but may have been an underlying issue as well, but not a major injury. But for him to achieve what he's had with this club, I mean, he's an all-time Padre now. There's no doubt about it. He'll go down as one of the best players that the franchise has ever had. And it's not over for Will, that's for sure.
Well, Ramon, let's be honest. I mean, why has Will Myers been doing much better the past, in 2020 and this year? 2019, his manager was Andy Green. We all remember that when Myers and Carlos Asuaje was in when the Padres were playing a video game, Myers said something not too flattering about Andy Green. Andy was always on him. And the fact that ever since Andy Green's been gone and Jace Tingler's taken over, that Will Myers is doing so much better, it's one of those, you don't have to read between the lines on that one. I mean, change in managers certainly has been a change in Will Myers. Heck, when Andy Green was here, they even put Will Myers at third base for a while. I mean, he started in right field, then he went to first base, and he went to third base. Well, Will Myers is the Padres' right fielder. That's where he belongs. And again, he's a key in that lineup. And, I just mentioned I thought the top 5 were in the lineup, and the 6th guy is Jake Cronenworth. The thing about Cronenworth, every time you look up, he's on base. I mean, when the Padres made that trade with Tampa Bay, they got Tommy Pham. It was all about Tommy Pham. Well, it's all about Jake Cronenworth because Jake Cronenworth is really the star for that trade. I mean, Tommy Pham, don't know, I mean, when you think about that, Pham's off to a bad start, didn't do well last year, had the incident in the offseason. I'll tell you a guy who really, really, really helps make the Padres go, and that's Jurickson Profar. He's in the lineup virtually every day. He may be at first, he may be at second, he may be in left, he may be at right. They may even play him somewhere else. But you look up on the scoreboard every night, and there's Jurickson Profar in the lineup. I mean, you talk about a guy that's valuable. We talked about, when the Dodgers had Kike Hernandez, who's now with the Red Sox, how valuable he was moving around. That's what Profar is doing for the Padres. And, speaking of guys like that, the Dodgers have a young guy named Zach McKinstry. Don't sleep on him. He's one of those guys who plays all over the place. He's had a great start. So if you hear the name McKinstry and wonder, who is this guy? This is a guy the Dodgers have brought up through their system, which is what they did with guys like Bellinger. They've had a great farm system, Buehler. So don't be surprised if Zach McKinstry has a lot to do with this series. Don't be surprised if Jurickson Profar, the Padres' ultimate utility man, has a lot to do with this series.
Yeah, I'm late to the party, Steve. I tried to roster McKinstry last night in fantasy, and he didn't have a great game. He got a few points, but he didn't have the games like he had been playing. But he's an interesting player to watch, and the Dodgers just so much depth. I mean, they should. I look at a guy like Dustin May. I mean, I see a closer in Dustin May actually, and I think the Dodgers need to maybe look that direction. Here's a guy who does not perform very well multiple times through a lineup, but he's dominating the first time or two around a lineup. So I think May might have a closer, an ace closer future to him. I don't know how the Dodgers are going to see that, or if it'll play out like that. Obviously, he's been a pretty successful starter, but I don't know. I see something maybe that kind of special with Dustin May. So we'll see. I mean, Jansen's not the answer anymore.
No.
It's fine. It's a nice story, and I'm happy every time Kenley's out there. He's a player that you can root for. Not when we're playing him, but just what he's been through in his career, and to see him still succeeding. He's a pretty inspirational player, and anytime he's on the mound, players are going to play hard for him and give it, never shortchange their teammate when he's on the mound. But he just doesn't have it anymore as far as being a major league closer. I'm not sure how long it's going to take the Dodgers to iron out what's going on. I don't know if they're hoping that I'm not saying even regain form. Maybe that they'll just be in situations that he can handle the leverage of those save situations, because the Dodgers are going to be winning a lot of games. Maybe they'll be winning by 2 or 3 runs, and that they can get through it. And they're so deep, obviously, in pitching as well, that maybe closer's not as important to a team like the Dodgers as it might be to teams on the fringe of contending for championships. So just a thought there on some of the things that the Dodgers are doing. And I think you mentioned Gratterall. I mean, he's kind of a thorn in our side too from that series, from that playoff series. He kind of got cocky for a kid, but too bad we don't see him. I kind of like him in a way, but.
Yeah, he's got that edge to him. Ramon, one other thing about tonight, too, is, the first homestand, the Padres were able to have 10,000 fans. And now that we're in the orange tier, it's going to be between 15 and 17,000 probably. And it's going to be like a packed house. It's going to sound like it because, again, people in San Diego have been waiting months for this. I don't know that the Padres look past the Pirates. I think it's just something that happens. But again, this is a series that fans have just been waiting months for, and now more fans can be in the ballpark. So it's going to be interesting going downtown tonight, for the games, because this weekend, of course, I've been blessed to do every game home and away for Bally Sports San Diego this year as their statistician, because as you know, the announcers aren't traveling, and we do those road games from Petco Park. But what's going to be interesting tonight, too, is to see how much difference the fans make and to see how many people from LA are there, because you know what? Basically, it's still the only people getting in are Padres season ticket holders. So we'll see how many of them sold their tickets to LA people or what the case might be. Because I know the Padres are giving out some stuff tomorrow night. They're giving them brown hoodies, and I'm not so sure a Dodger fan will want that. So we'll see how much of a difference the crowd makes these next 3 days.
Well, hey, brown hoodies sounds good to me. I think this is what we deserve. I mean, it's the brown versus the blue, okay? We're not matching colors anymore. Like in other years, this is our club now and our colors, and I still put on the Padre blue because I still got a ton of it. But this is our team and our colors, man, and this is going to be a big series. But like you said, not the be all end all for the season. Don't want to get swept out of here. Don't want to make headlines the wrong way, because that would be a talking point for baseball fans around the country, because everyone is really focused in on this series. Like you mentioned, this series is getting the national attention to start off the season. So let's come out and show some pride and win at least 2 out of 3. I know that's what you're going to tell me before you're going for the sweep.
Well, okay, Ramon, I know we're running out of time here, but just want to remind, again, you got the times up for the games. Friday tonight at 7:10, you've got Ryan Weathers for the Padres against Rocker Brewer for the Dodgers. Saturday at 5:40, you've got the Padres going with Yu Darvish against the Dodgers' Clayton Kershaw. And Sunday afternoon, of course, you're going to have Blake Snell for the Padres going up against the Dodgers' Cy Young winner from last year, Trevor Bauer. So it's going to be a great weekend in downtown San Diego. If you can, join us for the game. Certainly, you're wondering if you can get it. The games will be on Bally Sports San Diego and also on radio on 97.3 The Fan. So Hope everybody enjoys the series. Hope you all have a great weekend. And again, we'll be back on Facebook Live Monday morning at 11 to preview the Padres series against Milwaukee. But before then, big series with the Dodgers.
Yep. Hey, go Padres. Go Brown.
All right. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye, everybody.